77, that is the number of cities and towns on my list, and I'm going to rank them all here today from S to F on this tier list. I'm defining a city or town very loosely here. It is simply any place with at least 2 dwellings inhabited by at least 2 people, so no ancient ruins or cities here. Of course, as with any tier list, this is entirely my opinion, which means that it is an indisputable fact, and also it is based on objective criteria that are undefined and will arbitrarily shift over the course of the video. So I have them here in a randomized order. So let's get started with Edgeville. Edgeville is a cute little town, you know. I mean, the issue with Edgeville is, you know, it is serene. On the one side you have the monastery, but on the other side you do have the wilderness, which is pretty ugly and I don't think contributes to a sense of security. Also, there's a lot of PKers and skulled individuals running through the town, so that could contribute to a sense of, you know, a lack of safety. So, you know, if I had to live somewhere in RuneScape, definitely Edgeville would not be my pick. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Okay, moving on. Keldagrim, land, the big city of the dwarves. The thing with Keldagrim is that I am a person that really needs to see the sun a lot. Otherwise, I get sad. So, Keldagrim for me is gonna go into D tier for you need more vitamin D. Mireditch. Okay, this is a super depressing place. No fault of its inhabitants, obviously, you know, kind of living under a tyrannical regime. But, you know, the entire town is dilapidated. It's just very, it's F tier. I mean, come on, you don't want to live here. Nobody wants to live here. It's Mireditch. Like, you don't even come here in the video game from your own volition because it sucks. Nobody wants to go there. Let's move on. Lunar Isle, or at least whatever the name of the town on Lunar Isle is, doesn't seem to have a name. I mean, it is the only town on the island, so it's a pretty interesting place. It's got some neat architecture. It has a chicken house. The inhabitants have a tendency to be kind of presumptuous. They're actually quite mean to you for a long time until you get into the end game. So, you know, you could feel a bit isolated living here from the general population. Would I live on Lunar Isle? I mean, you know what? I have magical tools doing your chores for you, so that gives you more time to play RuneScape. So B4 would be better with better neighbors. Another B, Bedabin Camp. This is a place that you've probably only ever gone to a couple times for some quests or maybe a clue scroll step. Not much reason to go there outside of that, but I will say the people here are quite friendly, it seems, and they have some bomb-ass pineapples, so even though I'm not a fan of the desert personally, I wouldn't want to live there. You know, with people like this, I could put it in B tier. I would be able to make do there. Troll Stronghold. That's a place that's filled with very aggressive trolls. A lot of rock. Just a lot of rock and trolls, and I mean, you know what? At least you're up in the mountains, so there's that. But I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. Lumbridge. Okay, finally something good. Lumbridge is, I mean, come on, we all love Lumbridge, you know. You know, like the back of your hand, the Lumbridge Castle and the forest behind it, and we spent a lot of time here. Lumbridge, I could see myself living in Lumbridge. It's, you know, just don't go to the bad side of town on the other side of the bridge where all the goblins are. But aside from that, Lumbridge is cool. I'm gonna put Lumbridge in A tier. Zolandra. Okay, this is a cult town inhabited by a suicide cult. It smells. It's very dilapidated, ugly architecture. Zolandra is F tier. In fact, I think I would rather live in Mireditch than Zolandra. That's how bad it is. Land's End, cute little town at the south end of Korend. I mean, you know what? It's nice. It has a little forest around it. It's peaceful. You have the ocean there. It's pretty nice. I'm gonna put Land's End in A tier. I like that place. Relica. I'm not a fan of the surrounding scenery. A lot of dead forest, to be honest. A lot of rock. I feel like they could do some landscaping here to make it more interesting. But I will say, once you get to know the people, they're quite nice. They're quite friendly. Architecture isn't bad. Relica's another B tier for me, I'd say. Port Sarim. Port Sarim is a pretty nice town. And yeah, obviously it has, you know, Sea Shanty too. Everyone loves listening to that song. So I suppose if you live there, you get to listen to Sea Shanty 2 24/7. So I could see a lot of people liking it for that reason. Do I want to put it in S tier though? I'm trying to think. Yeah, actually I do. I want to put Port Sarim in S tier. If you live in Port Sarim, you have access to the whole world. You can go traveling to all sorts of places. Port Sarim is definitely an S tier, actually. I like that place. Arceus is too big for its own good. I mean, I understand, you know, based on the local population there, they can float around. They're immortal, so time isn't as valuable to them as it is to me. They can afford to spend fucking 15 minutes walking across their living room. But my time is limited, and I have stuff to do and places to go. So I don't think I would really vibe in Arceus with the whole architecture there. With the whole being the only mortal person, or one of the only. I mean, it's cool. They have a library. You know what? I will say, one thing I do like about Arceus is that its central feature is a library. And you can tell a lot about a town and the priorities of the people there based on what the focal point of their city is. And in Arceus, it's a big library. And I respect that. Knowledge is power, you know? So, you know what? I could live there short term. I wouldn't want to live there forever, but Arceus is like... It's a... Yeah, I'll give it a B tier. Why not? Wilderness Bandit Camp. Very weird place. Lots of aggressive... I guess this is like just a town full of outcasts, so... You know, if you have better options, probably not a place you would want to live. It's dangerous. It's dark. It's F tier. It's... you have nobody wants to go there. Lecce. Lecce has some very confusing architecture, I will say, but from a practical standpoint, I understand why. Obviously, you know, it's supposed to be like a hidden, fortified city. It's quite nice. The surrounding nature is beautiful. The elves are kind. It's a cool place overall. Lecce is definitely... There's not a whole lot to do, but I could put Lecce in A tier. I could see myself living there. Corsair Cove. It's a hidden little isolated town, but you do have access to some ships actually, so you can get around pretty easily. It's a well-connected place. Although as for housing options, you're limited to these pretty bare bones huts, so it's not great. The landscape is also not great, very rocky. Corsair Cove has 2 C's in its name, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. West Ardoin, yet another miserable place through no fault of the people who live there. Once again, tyrannical regime. In fact, not even their own tyrannical regime, actually, from the tyrannical regime of the neighboring city that has condemned them to their dark, depressing town. Although I will say that I have personally intervened and rid them of this problem several years ago now, and unfortunately they do seem to be stuck in sort of a cycle of poverty where they're unable to rebuild their town. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I have to give it F tier. I would... No, actually, you know what? One redeeming quality about West Ardoin is that there are a lot of cats, and I do love cats, so just for that fact, I can bump you up to D tier. Because as sad as it is, at least I could go outside, and there will always be cats to pet. Morton, oh my god, we really stacked up the depressing ones, the sad ones. Morton, yet another sad town. There's a plague there, yet another plague here or something, except this one's real. This one actually turns the citizens into zombies. It's in the middle of a swamp. It's, yeah, no, not a whole lot great to say here. This is an F tier town. The Desert Bandit Camp. not to be confused with the Wilderness Bandit camp. Yeah, like I said before when I was talking about the Bedouin camp, I'm not a fan of the desert. But I will say, there's a sense of community here. You know, these dudes all, well, you know, I mean, are they a community or are they a cult? That's actually a good question. I mean, the people here do stick up for each other. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a place that I've spent too much time, so can't really say a whole lot about it. I don't know. It's a D tier. It's not that interesting, to be honest. Which, oh my god, it's really managed to stack up all the plague towns in a short little span. Witch Haven, yet another plague town. But this one's to the east of East Ardoin, not unlike West Ardoin. Yeah, I mean, you know what, I will say, they have some interesting architecture. But the landscape is horrid, and the people are just weird, so I'll give you D for decorated stained glass windows. That's your only, you know, I like to look at the architecture, so that's your only redeeming quality there. Marim, which is the name of the one and only town on Apatol, home to the monkeys. It's in a jungle, which is nice. I like the greenery, and they do have some pretty nice architecture. They are quite aggressive. Well, no, actually not anymore. Now the people are nice to me there. So, based on that fact, I could see myself vibing here. I can put Marim in B tier. It's a pretty cool place, I think. Void Knight's Outpost. One thing I will say that I like about the Void Knight's Outpost is that it's a very small island, but they have really managed to maximize what they do with that small space. They have a lot of shops. They've built a lot of docks to increase their usable surface area on this island. And I am a fan of efficient space usage, so I rate that. Although I will say, I feel like I would get kind of claustrophobic living in such a small place, personally, so I'm gonna give Void Knight's Outpost a C tier. No, actually, you know what? I respect, they're fighting the good fight. They are upholding Guthix's balance, so B for balanced, fair and balanced. Prif Dinis, yet another interesting place. They've really increased the usable surface area here by building a whole second floor. It's nice, lots of trees, lots of forest. It's a beautiful place. But I can't help but think that a lot of the space here is misused by some frankly unnecessary additions, like these huge teleportation chambers. Like, come on, your city isn't that big, you don't need those. But there's a lot to do here. It's a nice place. I can give Prif Dinis an A tier. I could see myself living there. Shiloh Village. Yet another jungle town surrounded by greenery, which automatically gets points in my book. I guess we've kind of contained the zombies. I don't know. There's this weird, like, zombie enclosure right at the entrance, so it's not a very welcoming city, to be honest. Also, I feel like a third of the town is monopolized by one dude with his inn that you have no reason to go to. It's kind of expensive for what it is, so it's a nice place to go fishing. That's what I can say about it. It's a C tier. Sleep. Yeah, I'm coming to realize now by doing this list just how many plague towns there are in RuneScape. There's a surprising number of them. Sleep is yet another dark, depressing plague town where you have no reason to ever want to live, and that immediately makes it an F tier. Varrock. I think I've spent more time in Varrock than any other city in this game. It is, yeah, you know what, say what you want about, you know, there's gang activity, the king, he's, you know what, all I can say is, despite its flaws, I love Varrock. I think it's a beautiful place. It has a nice town square. It's very nostalgic for me. I'm gonna make sure that it shows up first in this list. Varrock is S tier. Varrock is wonderful. It's the best city in the game. Dark Mayor. So this one, to me as a human, feels dark and depressing, but I suppose I'm not really the target audience for moving here. That's it's more of a vampire thing, and I'm sure that the vampires feel right at home here. So personally, I don't feel very welcome here, but I gotta respect their architecture. It's pretty nice. It was probably built off the back of human slaves from Meyerditch, though, so I'm not a fan of using slave labor. So actually, I have to put you in FTR. I can't respect that. Yanil. Yanil is a cute little town, actually. I've always liked Yanil. It's kind of, you know, it's out of the way. There's not a whole lot to do there, but it's this nice little quaint town. Yeah, it does have like a private server attached right to its northern wall. Like that looks kind of out of place, and for whatever reason, despite the fact that the ogre threat that they're trying to contain is coming from the south, they put their defensive tower to the north of the town, so a lot of questionable design decisions, I would say, were made here. But Yanil is yet another B-tier place. It's pretty good. You know, I could see myself living there, assuming that the city military would make some better spending decisions. Canifis. Home to my Eastern European boys and girls, such as Boris and Vladimir. I don't know if there's a guy named Vladimir here, but I know that there's a Boris here. It's in a swamp. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I will say it has pretty good architecture. So Canifis, C is for Canifis. There you go. You get to go right in the C tier. Heminster, cute little fishing town. Probably not a place you ever think of after you've completed the fishing contest, but you know, it is what it is. It's alright. It's a B tier. Barbarian Village, yet another place I think I've spent a lot of time as a kid. Back when the Stronghold of Security first came out, it was a great training spot. It gives you best in slot fashionscape boots. I'm also pretty sure that I had a crush on the blonde barbarian in the center of the village when I was a kid, which is probably why I am now attracted to strong blonde women. So, you know, that probably shaped me as a kid. So Barbarian Village, based on its personal importance to me, I have to put in S tier. You know, it's just that's where my girl lives, you know. Al-Kharid. Al-Kharid is, yeah, it's in the desert, and I don't like the desert, but Al-Kharid is a well put together town. It's sparse, but there's something there, you know, there's a vibe there, and I've always liked visiting Al-Kharid. They like me over there. They let me in for free, actually, even though normally it costs 10 GP to enter. They're my homies, and actually the guards in there, they stick up for each other, and I respect that. So Al-Kharid, A is for Al-Kharid, you know, that is just, it has to go up there. Treenome Village is a cute place. Not a whole lot to do, actually. If you go upstairs, you'll notice that most of the platforms are devoid of anything, really. Very empty. But very cute. I would actually love to see them add even so much as just like a bank booth here, just so that it's another out of the way skilling spot. It would be kind of nice. It's a nice scenery. Treenome Village is B tier. It's pretty. Musa Point, a place that you probably spent a lot of time as a kid in free to play, and then pretty much never again as a member. Yeah, you know, there's a little bit of criminal activity. Yes, I am responsible for it. I did use this as a smuggling area. But you know what? It's a vibe. It's a nice vacation spot. It's A tier. You know, it's just reminds me of my childhood. Mulch is a place I don't know too much about. It's inhabited by lizardmen, so obviously, as a human, I'm not really the target audience to move here. It's in a swamp. So, but you know what? I just feel like it's one of those things where I don't know a whole lot about this place, so I can't really put it in F tier. I can't judge it too harsh. So I'm gonna put it in C. I'm sure that it's nice if you're a lizard person, so you know, like the Zuck would probably enjoy living there potentially. Catherby, nice little fishing town. Has my favorite skill cape in the game with my boy Hickton. has a farming patch. I like Catterby. It's the first place I saw when I got to cross the members, the White Wolf Mountain. Yes, because I did get membership after Burthorpe and Taverley were made the free-to-play area. So, Catterby, it holds a special place in my heart. It's going to go into the A tier. Port Piscarilius. Oh my god, what can I say about this place? It's a crime-ridden place. Yeah, you know, I did commit a lot of those crimes, but you know, it's just the place allows it. The guards are inept. It's really easy to break and enter to people's houses. I witnessed a dude get pushed off the dock one. Actually, I mean, I witnessed it because I was the one who pushed him. So, there's like an absentee government not doing a whole lot to stop me or any of the other criminals. So, not a great place, to be honest. It's a crime-ridden town. I mean, there's potential there, you know, you can easily access other... Yeah, you know what, the best thing about Port Piscarilius is that there's a lot of docks that you can use to go somewhere else. So, that's a D tier, to be honest. And yet another Karen town is Shazian. Shazian is beautiful. Honestly, after the rework, I will say, I love what they... I know a lot of people complain about it and the new art style and the, you know, the geometry of the forest and whatever. I'm personally a fan. I really like the Shazian rework. The architecture is beautiful. The song, the song there is called The Militia. I love that song. Beautiful song. The surrounding forest is really cool. A lot of unique NPCs. Shazian gets S tier. Yeah, Shazian is S is for Shazian. I really like that place. I think the team, the Old School Runescape team, full series here, have really gone a long way in terms of designing places since Zaya was first released, and I think Shazian with the whole redesign really showcases that, so I'm a fan. Ferox Enclave is an enclave in the wilderness, one of the only place in the wilderness really where you're safe from other players. Yeah, it is a ruin, which I said I wouldn't include here, but it is inhabited. There's actually quite a few inhabitants here. So it's one of those places where I feel like, yeah, it's dilapidated, but there's clearly someone doing something about it, trying to make it a better place. And I really respect that. So, you know, I have to give it a B tier. I think it's a place on the up and up. If you have money lying around, you should probably invest in real estate here. Well, no, I guess it's actually, no, there's not really anything to buy here. It's all communally owned, but you know, I feel safe there, and that's a lot more than I can say for some of these other towns lower down, so Ferox Enclave is a B tier. Sears Village. It's a, you know, I would say it's supposed to be a quaint place, but it's actually really busy, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of people here. It's quite crowded, actually, for such a small place. I guess it kind of feels like a tourist town, to be honest. And, you know, I'm not a fan of that, so it's, you know, the surroundings are nice, but you know, I have to put it in C tier. I think you gotta do something about all those damn tourists, to be honest. Polnivnich, yet another crime-ridden town. It's run by two gangs. Unlike Varrock, they're not just contained to a small part of the town. They run pretty much the entire place. There's a whole weird backstory there. It's in the desert. Yeah, you know, you have a house border there, so you can make it your home, but for me, it's just a D tier. I can't really say I have any like fond memories of that place. Uzair Oasis, recent addition to the game. It's a nice, quaint place. Has some cool individuals there. It's an oasis in the desert. I don't like the desert, but I do love the greenery. I love the water. It's a chill place. I can definitely put that in A tier. It's lovely. Fisher Realm, a place that just barely qualifies as a city or town based on my definition of having at least 2 dwellings, because there is the castle and there is a little shack, and that's it. That's pretty. The rest of the place is just agricultural fields. It's quite nice after you help the king find his son, whatever the whole, I forget what that quest was about, to be honest. It's it's like, you know, whatever. It's another B tier place. Yeah, it's quaint. I guess I can say that about it. Dorgish Khan, as you may know, I am big friends with the goblins. They're my homies. I love the cave goblins. Dorgish Khan is the most technologically advanced city in RuneScape. The only one with electricity, actually. I will have to, however, dock points solely for the fact that it's underground, and like I said earlier, you know, I need my sunlight, I need my vitamin D. Yeah, you know, I think they've done good to have artificial lighting, but yeah, if it was above ground, it would definitely be S tier, but I have to dock it 1 tier and put it in A tier because of the lack of sunlight. Before I move on to Tree Gnome Stronghold, I'm gonna have to just ask you to wait a second while I take a sip of water. Remember to stay hydrated, everyone. Speaking is difficult for a long time. Okay, Tree Gnome Stronghold. Huge place, lots to do. I love the... Well, actually, now that I think about it, nobody here has a roof, really, eh? Everyone just lives on these, like, open platforms, so... I don't really know what I would do if I lived there. Like, I feel like I kind of need... I do like the sun, but I also like to have a roof over my head. It's like, I don't know, it's a B tier. It's nice, but it's not for me, obviously, as the name implies. It's for gnomes, so that's where that's at. Narda, a town that let itself kind of fall into crisis because they rejected the spirits of the Illid and accepted Saradomin, and that's cult behavior, so we can't have that in my good polytheist game. So Narda is D tier. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. East Ardoin, you know what? It is like a big bustling town, perhaps the most economically powerful town, city in Gielinor, but crime is rampant. It's ruled by... well, no, actually, I guess I killed the king there, but you know, there's some, like... It's ruled by an oligarchy still, you know, Mr... whatever, the Carnelian. Yeah, you know what? Ardoin, to be entirely honest with you, is kind of mid. East Ardoin is a C tier. Yeah, not much better than your western cousin, are you? Sophonim. What is this, like number 5 in terms of plague towns that we're at now? It's interesting how many times they've reused that storyline. But I will say, architecturally, quite interesting with the pyramids. There's some interesting stuff going on here. I can't put it in the bottom tiers. I'm gonna put it in C for cool. It's kind of cool. Falador is beautiful. Architecture is beautiful. They have a government that knows what it's doing. It's protecting its citizens. It's well maintained. It has lots of public amenities, a nice square, a nice park, a party room. Falador is quite simply an S tier city. There's not much debate to be had there. I love Falador. It's awesome. I feel at home. It's like, you know, if Varrock is my home, Falador feels like my second home, you know. Alright, Karulm. Or Mount Karulm, I guess. I don't know. The place inhabited by the blue people from Avatar. It's rocky, it's mountainous, I don't know. There's not a whole lot going on there. Although I mean, I say that, but then there are like literal demigods living there, so I guess from that point of view it's interesting. Actually, you know what? Similar to Arceus, I'm going to put it in B tier just because even though I'm not personally a fan of living there long term, I could see myself living there short term, just to learn. I think there's a lot to be learned there, and that's worth B tier. Yatizo is... it's honestly impressive how badly the local government fumbled the ball in this place. You compare it to its next door neighbor, which is this beautiful, lush green island, and this is just a gray rock with ugly architecture, a completely inept ruler, just an awful place all around. It's F tier. I would rather live in West Ardoin than in Yatis, so it's just until someone deposes that king, I ain't living there. That's an awful place. Port Khazard. Actually, realistically, how much do you know about Port Khazard? Yeah, you've come here before to, you know, buy molten glass and go fishing. But what do you know about this place? What relation does it have to the warlord Khazard? Are you under his regime if you live here? A whole lot of unanswered questions. I'm gonna give it a D tier. It's just, I don't really have a whole lot positive to say about it. Taverley, on the other hand, I'm a fan of the Druids because I'm a fan of Guthics. It's a very nice village. Beautiful architecture. My only problem with it is that it is a bit of a sausage fest. So I'm gonna have to dock it a couple marks for that, just because, you know, I don't know how I would fare living amongst just pretty much only men all the time. I feel like that. I don't swing that way, you know. So that's B tier for that reason. Nate is not, unlike Yatizo, which we just talked about. Nate is beautiful. It has beautiful architecture. It has a competent leader. I can only say good things about Nate is not. I love yaks. Yaks are awesome. And Nate is not is S tier. It's as simple as that. Mostly harmless. Now, I love pirates. Pirates are awesome. They commit crimes and whatever, but pirates are cool. I would love to wear a pirate hat. If someone knows where I can buy a good pirate hat, let me know. The problem with Mostly Harmless, however, is that you are surrounded by some truly scary monsters. And also, the local accent is kind of difficult to understand, to be honest. It's not easy to integrate if you're new in town. But B. That's all I have to say. Mostly Harmless is a B tier. Miscellanea. I hear the climate isn't great. Apparently it's too windy to build anything but a stone castle, although I'm pretty sure there is a wooden house at the north of the island that seems to be surviving just fine. So I think that's actually just an excuse by King Vagris to not build housing and instead confine people to a hole in the ground. So, but you know, I guess technically I am the regent of this place, so I should like it more than I do. But it's just another, like, meh, whatever. It's a B tier place. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Piscatoris is a pretty, the fishing colony is a pretty barren rock, to be honest. It's just a weird place overall. I don't know, I'm not a fan. It's like, it's whatever, it's D tier. Not a whole lot to talk about. Gutanoth, probably one of the most hostile places you can visit in RuneScape. Yeah, it's yet another D tier. A lot of these, you know, D tier places is like, I don't have a whole lot to talk about here, so that's where you end up. Remington, however, is a cute town. I quite like it. The surrounding nature is beautiful. There's willow trees. Willow trees are my favorite tree, by the way, so, you know, lots of willow trees here, so I have to give it points for that. Just not as much going on here as its neighbor Port Sarim, so, but there is like a cool maze to explore, I guess, although it is kind of ruled by an insane person. But I like Remington. Remington is an A tier place. Vice, originally hostile, but now I'm chill with everyone there. Although speaking of chill, it is a chilly place. It's winter year round, so yeah, I mean, I don't mind winter. I like to go do winter activities, but I don't think I would like winter year round, so that's a D tier again. Port Phasmatis, a town inhabited almost exclusively by ghosts. So, make of that what you will. Was previously, but no longer is, ruled by an evil overlord, so... No, actually, you know what? This is a completely dilapidated town. There's no future. I mean, you know what? Most of your population is dead. What kind of future can you have, realistically? I don't see that place getting any better, so... Yeah, it's just like all these ghosts that are in constant pain. That's who you have as neighbors. That's not a place I want to live, to be honest. Lovacane is a barren landscape, occasionally interrupted by fire and lava. How appealing does that sound to you? Yet another inept leader here. So, Lovacane is F tier. Yeah, it might be controversial, but I'm not, like, the buildings are huge. I don't understand why, because everyone who lives there is a dwarf. So, don't really understand the whole architecture of the place. Yeah, it's just... When's the last time you voluntarily went to Lovacane? Yeah, was it to go mine sulfur? How fun was that for you? Exactly. So, not a fun place to be. Mountain Camp. Yet another inept leader. Yeah, I understand. You know, you're sad that your daughter died. Well, actually, no. He rejects the premise that his daughter died, and he made the rest of his village suffer for it. So, inept leadership. Very clearly, an infertile rock. I mean, that kind of doesn't sound great, but you know, the land is not arable, and it has a nice hot spring, I guess, so it could make a good spa. So there you go. Potential tourism opportunities. Other than that, Mountain Camp is D tier. Taibo Wanai. Another place where I felt kind of unwelcome for a long time, despite actually trying to help fix the town, but a lot of the townspeople don't seem to like me. I will say, though, you have nice nature around, and I like the architecture. So, but you know what? I don't know a whole lot you can do to make up for a hostile population. So, Taibo Wanai is C tier. If the people were nicer to me, I could move that up to B. I could see myself living there, but you know, it is what it is. Gwyneth, probably a place that you don't really visit a whole lot. You may have not even known that this village is called Gwyneth. It's located just north of Privdinis. And to take a second to talk about game design, one thing I really like about Gwyneth is that it shows to me that even with some, well, I guess, you know, Song of the Elves came out, what, 4 years ago now, but I'm going to say it's a recent-ish update, that the developers show that they still have that sort of ability to design these charming places that even if they don't serve a huge gameplay purpose, it's still just neat. It adds to the world building. And yeah, it's a beautiful little village with beautiful architecture. Pretty cool surroundings. Well, actually, I don't like the mountain though. The mountain's kind of ugly, to be entirely honest with you. So I was gonna put it A tier, but just because of the, you know, the view onto that mountain, I'm gonna have to bump it down to B. Port Tyrus. I'm pretty sure that I committed a crime here. Probably a bigger crime than elsewhere because I literally firebombed a building. So I committed a... Yeah, I killed the leader there. Do I feel bad about it? Yes, I do, but you know, that's in the past. So I guess I'll appease you by putting you in C tier, not D tier, but it's just a bunch of tents. You know, it's like, yeah, if you've been here for so long, why don't you build some permanent settlements? You have a nice forest around. Use some resources. Come on. Etciteria is a smaller and more boring version of Miscellanea. So if Miscellanea is B tier, then Etciteria is C tier. And it's so boring that I have nothing else to say about it. It's a smaller Miscellanea. Tutorial Island. Yeah, probably not a place that you really thought about as a town, but it is, you know, it's several dwellings with multiple people living there, so... And it's a nostalgic place. I love it there. Unfortunately, I can't really go back, but I do like it. I think it's a quaint little place. I have to put Tutorial Island on A tier. Good memories of that place. Intrana. Is it a bit weird to call it a cult town? You know, what's the difference between a Saradominist religion and a Zulrah worshipping cult, you know, like they say? And the only difference is size. So I will have to dock some marks for that. Also, they're sticklers. There's a lot of stuff that I can't take on there, which, you know, I guess, you know, your place, your rules, but makes me just less likely to want to visit, to be honest. Especially on my Ultimate Iron Man, it's kind of annoying. So, despite the fact that it is a nice place, it's quaint, it's serene, it's peaceful. You know, it's like, it's C tier for, C is for, C, that's what it's for. Hosidius, yet another beautifully redesigned town on Zaya. Absolutely love the architecture, and I love actually that I can style my own house in the style of Hosidius. I still haven't done enough mahogany homes to get there, but you know, one day I will. Lots of varied landscape. You have beaches, you have a forest, you have farmland. Only good things to say about this place. Hosidius is an S tier city, no doubt. Berthorpe. Poor Berthorpe. You know, trying to get swallowed up by Falador and having to defend against trolls all the time. But I will say, those guys stick to their guns. And you do have a nice little bit of nature to the south. So, despite its flaws, B is for Berthorpe. It's an alright place. However, B is not for Bergdorot. Bergdorot is yet another dark, depressing town. Actually looks like it's the last one on this. Oh, maybe not. Although I will say, you know, there's some improvement there. Thanks exclusively to me, I guess. So, there's some potential for it to get better, so it's not quite an F tier, but it's close. It's a D tier. More Ulrek, the town inhabited by the Tsar under the Karamja volcano. Kind of hot for my liking. It's dark and it's hot, but I respect the people there, so, you know, it's not an F tier, it's a D tier. But definitely not a, I mean, you know what, it's one of those things where it's like, you're obviously, you're not the target audience, you're not the best adapted species to live in those conditions, so I understand, it's just not for me. Zenaris, yet another failed government, failed state that has been, I mean, it's ruled by the mob. It's ruled by the mob, what more can you say? It's not very safe. It's, if I live there, you know, how many days until an orc smashes my windows in and steals my shit, you know? I wouldn't feel safe living there. So, yeah, it's cute. It's cute. There's some cool stuff there, some magical stuff happening. But the government has to get its shit together. Until then, I have to put in D tier. Alright, getting towards the end of our list here. Brimhaven, yet another pirate town, which is cool. It's in the jungle. I do feel a lot safer there than I do in Mostly Harmless, to be honest. So, I'm gonna have to put it a tier above. I'm gonna have to put in A tier. Brimhaven is just, has nice architecture, has nice surroundings. I like it. Not a whole lot. Oh my god, this list has gotten so big that I'm gonna have to scroll down a bit here. Harmony Island. Yeah, is this a plague town? Like, you know, there are a bunch of zombies. Yet again, barely coming in at 2 dwellings, and actually this one is the biggest stretch of all, because do we consider the windmill to be a dwelling? I don't know. But I feel like it's one of those places where it has potential if you get rid of the zombies. It has potential to be like a serene little place that's actually a bit nicer than Intrana. But until they get rid of the zombies, that's worse than Intrana. It's F tier. You gotta realize your potential. You know, I can't be giving you marks for potential that you have not yet realized. You gotta earn it. Draenor Village. It's, you know, it's a little bit spooky, but once you get to know it, it's a nice place. I like the willow trees. I spent a lot of time chopping willows in Draenor. It has a nice little town market. It's like, it has that nice little small town vibe. Yeah, it's, well, no, it's not terrorized by a vampire anymore because I killed him, so it's a lot safer now. There's a lot you can learn from the wizards at the Wizards Tower just to the south. So Draenor Village, honestly, is S tier. I rate it higher than Lumbridge, which is saying something. Get your shit together, Lumbridge. And finally, Kingstown, last on our list here. The city at the heart of Kourend. I feel like it's just one of those places that's inhabited solely by the political class, so that's kind of cringe. I don't think I would have the greatest neighbors if I lived here, but I will say, you know, the whole city planning is nice. There's like a nice wide pedestrian boulevard. Like, you know what? As much as I don't like the inhabitants, I gotta respect the architecture. It's pretty to look at, so, you know, I could visit. And so, there you have it, everybody. This is my tier list for every single, assuming I didn't miss any, all 77 cities and towns in RuneScape. I hope you enjoyed watching or listening, depending on what you were doing. If you disagree, feel free to mention it in the comments, but like I said earlier, remember that this tier list is indisputable fact, so any objections you may have are objectively wrong. Alright, have a nice day, take care.